Mr. Rawat, looking at the trend that we've seen in this particular 4 phases of voting, the voting starts off on a very slow note, and post 3 o'clock there is a pace, or there is a pace that picks up pretty significantly. If you look at voting till 3 p.m., it's roughly around 52%, and after that, in the last 2 hours, there is a jump of almost 10% when it comes to voting. We're still not getting the final numbers, but close to 62.9 is what we're looking at. How do you see that? Is this a regular trend that you see across elections, or
that's yes, that's fairly regular, but it's more so in conditions of hot weather conditions.
Okay.
I mean, when people prefer morning and perhaps late evening hours. That is why you must have seen that Election Commission has extended the polling hours in some places where there is more heat sensitivity. And as we all know, of course, the weather prediction for this phase was fairly normal, and it has not tortured the voters in any manner. But we had seen some of the impact in the first 2 phases at least. And that is why a lot of efforts have been made by the Election Commission to make sure that the polling stations and the voters are reasonably insulated from hot weather impact in difficult conditions. And that also includes making it comfortable to vote towards the end of the day when it is cooling down a bit. But that said, you would have seen that after the first 2 phases of experience, when there was a little dip in voting, I would not call it a drastic decline like news reports would suggest, but there was a little dip. And after that, the Election Commission, for example, went on, engaged the massive telecom service providers to send messages and to give hourly notices, pre-day and polling day, every hourly notice and notification, persuasion, intimation to get the voters out. I'm seeing some results of that. And just now your reporter was talking about the urban apathy. And it has been a bad and sad story of Indian electoral participation, because they remain typically 10% behind their village counterparts. And now, as the reporter from Telangana was saying, perhaps it persists a bit, though there is a lot of efforts by the Election Commission. For example, some weeks back, they called all the metro commissioners, including the Hyderabad commissioner, for example, to sit down in a huddle and find ways how the urban apathy can be broken, how the urban people can be pulled into polling stations. When we have something like none of the above also as a choice, that is, it's not really encouraging that our elite middle class voters who enjoy all the comforts should only talk politics and elections in the drawing room. They should come to the polling station, but that is still a problem. We have seen it in Bengaluru, we have seen in Ahmedabad before, we have seen in Mumbai, Delhi. I hope things are improving, but I just think that they will change much faster, and the electoral participation in all the areas so should improve drastically.
Okay, shifting, getting Chakshu back here, looking at Maharashtra in particular, how do you see Maharashtra numbers? Not encouraging. Is there too much on the plate to choose? Now that you've got 2 Shiv Senas, 2 NCPs, you've got BJP, you've got Congress in the fray. Is that too much to choose that has left the voters confused? That they're trying, because the numbers don't look encouraging. We are into 4th phase and we just got Bombay left to vote, Bombay and Navi Mumbai. So numbers don't encouraging. Any surprising trend, anything surprising that you see with Maharashtra and this cold shoulder to the elections, across the 4 phases?
I look at Maharashtra slightly differently, and the reason I say that is because you just mentioned the names of a number of political parties. Now, perhaps Maharashtra is one of those cases wherein the candidate was more important than the political party, because a number of these candidates had been associated with unified parties, and then the parties went their different ways. So could that be a reason wherein usually political parties galvanize voters to come, and with parties which were slightly more disaggregated, did that impact the voting turnout? So that's one part of it. I think the other part of it also that we have to recognize is that while there is no heat wave, temperatures are still, close to 41 to 42 degrees.
Okay.
There are some parts of the country where schools have been closed early because I think Calcutta schools have been closed early, Jharkhand schools have been closed early because the temperatures have gone a little high. And Mr. Raut was mentioning that voting time was increased. I think, if I remember correctly, in 16 parliamentary constituencies, the voting time was from 7 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. in the evening. So, while we hope that urban voters who have the comfort of traveling short distances come out and vote in large numbers, and we hope to see that in the near future. But what is really commendable is that our rural voters are exercising their right and saying we want to have a say in who is going to represent